Hi, everybody. I'm Randy Arrington, and welcome to episode 94 of Page Valley Livin. We have a very special guest here today. We're sitting here out on Jordan Hollow Road at the home of retired Marine Corporal Daniel Cooney. And we're sitting here on Veterans Day, November the 11th, on the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. December 5, right?
That's it. December 5.
We're going to talk with Mr. Cooney about his service during the Vietnam War and how he got on, or some photographs of him, got into magazines such as Life magazine, Newsweek, and even a book as well. We'll take a look at those pictures and hear some more stories about his time from Vietnam and what Veterans Day means to him. All of that and more when we come back in just a moment after a word from our sponsor. At Luray Caverns, you can hear music of symphonic quality from ancient stone formations on the great stalacpipe organ, the largest musical instrument in the world, only at Luray Caverns. Visit them online at luraycaverns.com to plan your trip today. Hi, everybody. Welcome back again to episode 94 of Page Valley Livin. As we said, it is Veterans Day here today. We are filming on Tuesday, November the 11th, and we'll be airing our episode on Wednesday, November the 12th. And we're in the home of Daniel Cooney, retired corporal from the U.S. Marine Corps. I am so happy to be here on the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps, and I appreciate you taking some time to be with us.
Pleasure.
And I appreciate you also inviting us in your home here on this big day. Because once a Marine, you're always a Marine, right?
Always. Never. Yep.
So tell me, you had an interesting phone call right before we walked in here to film this here at your home from somebody that you hear from once or twice a year, but you hadn't heard from him in about 4 months. Who called you up today?
John D. Musgrave.
Tell us about him.
Well, he and I met in Vietnam at a place called Con Tien,
Okay.
which Con Tien in Vietnamese means Hill of Angels.
Okay.
Well, there wasn't no angels there, let me tell you. But anyway, that's where we met, and he got wounded when we were out on patrol, and we tripped a large attack, and anyway, we got him back in, but he had 3 holes in his chest.
In his chest?
In his chest.
Wow.
One just missed his heart, but he had what they call a sucking chest wound.
Okay.
And he's breathing through a hole in his chest.
Right.
And his lungs aren't working right.
Wow.
So that's what you call a sucking chest wound. And I didn't smoke at the time,
Right.
but I kept my C-ration cigarettes in my pocket that morning.
Okay.
Normally I traded them off. And I tossed them over to the corpsman who was working on John, and he took the cellophane off
Okay.
and put it over the hole, which controlled, and John was able to use his own lungs then to breathe.
And you had to use what was on hand, right? Because
That's
y'all
it.
were in a tough situation, right?
Well, we had walked into an ambush, and when you're in an ambush, it's every man for himself.
Right,
You know,
right.
And
But they were able to get him out of there.
yeah, we got him out. Yeah, we got him out, and he was awarded medals because of his bravery prior to
Right,
that
sure.
that time, and
And he was in your unit?
yes,
What unit did you serve under?
1st Battalion, 9th Marines,
And y'all had a nickname.
nicknamed the Walking Dead.
Why now? Why is that? That's kind of a scary name.
We had the highest casualty rate
Oh my gosh.
of any unit in Vietnam except the Aussies.
Really?
Now,
Of any unit
any unit.
in the Marine Corps?
You can look it up.
Is that in the Marine Corps or all branches?
I think it's only in the Marine Corps,
Okay.
but probably in the Marine Corps.
So we were talking about the Marine Corps, and with this being the 250th anniversary, a very special anniversary. The Marine Corps founded on November 10th, 1775, older than our nation
That's it.
is even. And so tell me on this special day and Veterans Day, what does it mean to you to be a Marine?
Well, there's after being a Marine, a combat Marine, and my dad was a Marine.
In World War II, you said.
World War II, and it's just part of the Corps that we're proud of being who we are, and Veterans Day's always been special,
Right.
like Memorial Day.
Right.
Right. They're all special, and they're not celebrated the way they used to be.
Why do Marines say that they're not soldiers, they're Marines, and once a Marine, always a Marine? Why do they say that?
Well, Marines are Marines. There's just
It's a difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And our training mainly, because the Army's never had training like Parris Island or San Diego.
I was going to ask you about Parris Island. You remember the day you signed up?
Oh yeah, and I was tickled to death to sign up.
Really? Now, you remember the date? I bet you remember the date.
April 25th, 1967.
And why you say that you were excited? I mean, you had to know that there was a war going on. There was a big danger you being sent over there. Why
I
were
was
you excited?
invincible.
You were invincible.
Yeah, one of the invincible. And you see, your DIs tell you ahead of time that 10% of you are going to be casualties.
And you didn't even think anything
Oh,
of that.
Of course not. I wasn't
You
part
were what,
of
18, 19?
18.
18.
I wasn't part of that 10% that was
right.
going to be a casualty.
Right.
And
Right.
but after getting wounded 4 times, yeah, all those John Wayne movies I watched,
Right.
I'm like, oh man, this is really stupid,
What was the toughest thing that you remember from 14 weeks on Parris Island?
The first morning at 2:00, you get off the bus and you walk up, and they got yellow footprints that you stand on. And you've never been away from home, so to speak.
Right.
And all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose, and they're screaming. You got 4 DIs, at least, screaming in your face, just screaming. And you don't know why they're screaming,
Right.
because you ain't done nothing. You just got off the bus.
Now, you told me that you signed up and because you were tired of milking cows.
Tired of
Where
milking
you
them damn cows.
Grew up in Maryland.
Trust me, that morning, I was hunting a cow so bad.
You wouldn't have minded milking
I'd
cows
have
at that
kissed
point.
the first cow I could have found.
How did you feel on that last day when you graduated?
Oh, you feel like a Marine. And when you feel like a Marine, ain't nothing better. My parents came to graduation. They watched me graduate. I was a squad leader, which in the command, in a platoon, squad leader marches first.
Right.
And
right.
so I was a squad leader.
Okay.
My senior drill instructor told my dad what a good Marine I was. It was all pomp and ceremony.
Right, right. One of the proudest days of your life?
Well, one of them, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But then you spent some time at Camp Lejeune,
Right.
and you got some training, and then you were shipped over to Vietnam. You spent
Now,
some time.
Camp Pendleton.
Camp Pendleton, I'm sorry.
Went to Camp Pendleton, then Vietnam.
And about how long do you think you were in country?
In country, I was there till I got there in August, September, and then there till February 22nd.
Now, I knew you were wounded once because that's going to be in some of the pictures we're going to talk about in the second segment, where you had some famous pictures there where you were being carried off. But you said you were wounded 4 times, so
Yeah.
you must have seen a lot of action.
Well, it was just part of 1-9.
Just
Yeah.
part of being part of that unit.
Just part of being that unit. You know, it was a daily occurrence.
And taking that many casualties, were you up on the front lines?
I was on the front.
On the front.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cantien, Quezon.
In case
You couldn't get it any closer to the front.
Wow, wow. And so you must have saw a lot of combat. I'm sure you lost some friends over there.
Lost a lot of friends.
People
Yep.
right in your
Right in my unit, right in my squad, right in my. There's a picture I can show you where there's 4 of us, and 2 of us got wounded, and 2 of us got killed out of 4.
And you said some of them were as close as from me to you.
Well, it all depends on the particular instance. You know, when mortars are exploding, they don't care who they hit,
Right, right,
who the shrapnel hits.
right.
You know, and when you're ducking and dodging and running and the rounds are whistling in, it's just the luck of the draw. Nobody points at you and goes, "Oh, you're going to get hit today. You're going to live today. You're going to." No, it's just the luck of the draw.
Have you ever thought at times about what if that bullet would have been a foot over this way,
Well, of
or if
course.
the more?
I lost a wristwatch. My girlfriend at that time had gave me a wristwatch to go to Vietnam with.
Mm-hmm.
Nice Timex, nice. And on Cantien, I went up to visit a buddy of mine that was in a different position. And I knew we had snipers around because, I knew we had snipers. And, but it becomes a matter of, oh, well, not today.
Right.
Maybe tomorrow.
Right.
Anyway, I'm up there talking to him, and all of a sudden, I got hit.
Right.
And I'm like, I knew I got hit in the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I hadn't gotten hit. The sniper had shot, and it went across my wrist, and I had a burn mark right across like that blew that watch off.
No kidding.
And anybody that knows me, if I wear a watch today, I wear it with the face in,
No kidding.
because that sniper took that watch off. Now, I know he was probably aiming for center mass,
Right, right.
but he took my watch off, and I thought I lost my hand.
Right.
God almighty, it hurt so damn bad. My wrist, I thought I was in trouble. Anyway, but he just cut that watch off.
With all of that going on, how do you keep your composure as a soldier in those moments when so much is going on around
Not
you?
a soldier.
as a Marine. As a Marine, how do you
Well,
keep your composure when all that's going
That's
on?
where Marine Corps training. Now, just because you graduate boot camp, then you go on to ITR and you go on to all your other training.
But
You
you-
ain't done with training just because you graduate boot camp.
Right. Well, let me ask you this one last question before we go on to our second segment here in just a minute. You've seen a lot of Veterans Days since those times in the late 1960s and being over in Vietnam. What do you know? It's a time of reflection. It's a time when people think about times past. What do you think about on Veterans Day?
I think about all the dead and, people I was with and the waste, all of our dead, plus all the dead in Vietnam, that who knows what things they might have accomplished.
Right.
And that was such a wasted war. We were there for 10 years. And I believed, like everybody else did, about what we were told about if we don't stop them here, we're going to have to. Shit, we didn't have to worry about them coming into Baltimore.
Right. Do you still think about some of those guys you served with that didn't make it back?
Oh, of course, particularly at night. They come back to haunt me at night. Yeah, and but what's worst is the enemy comes back to haunt me at night.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, just because it's been all these years, and it's they've been right in this room on occasion, and particularly the people I helped murder,
Right.
and I'm sorry, you can't consider it anything else because we didn't have no business being in Vietnam.
Right. Did you find a way to kind of reconcile that years later? I mean, you were just following orders, right?
Yeah, well, so was every other German Wehrmacht
Right.
in World War II following
Sure.
orders.
Sure.
And we did some despicable things.
Right. But things that it's wartime. It's kind of a crazy, chaotic time.
Yeah, well, you can chalk it up to anything, but at the same time, if we hadn't have been there, they claim that 1 million Vietnamese lost their lives.
Right.
Well, I know for a fact some of them I helped
Right.
murder.
Right.
You know, and I don't consider it patriotic when you go to a country like Vietnam, and we were the aggressors.
Right.
We weren't the saviors.
Right. But again, you were just following orders.
Well,
right?
you can use that logic.
Right.
But I should have went to Canada.
Right. Well, they were trying to do the same to you, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, as some of these images on these books here are of Mr. Cooney when he was wounded in Vietnam.
That's it.
And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to look at some of these images and hear some of the stories about what happened over there. We'll talk about that in just a moment after a word from our sponsor. At Luray Caverns, the Smithsonian Institution said, quote, "It is safe to say there is probably no other cave in the world more completely and profusely decorated than that of Luray. Come see Mother Nature showing off only at Luray Caverns. Visit them online at luraycaverns.com to plan your trip today." Welcome back, everyone. Once again, we're out here on Jordan Hollow Road talking with Daniel Cooney. retired Marine Corporal, once a Marine, always a Marine. And you were telling us some stories earlier. Here's a book called Death Valley. It's about the summer Tet Offensive and from August of 1969. And we're going to show you a close-up image. But Mr. Cooney is right here on the cover of this book. Tell me about what's happening in this image and how you got wounded.
Well, I was on a patrol, and I was taking correspondents out. They wanted to go on a patrol, so we took them to a safe area. Mm-hmm. But during the night, the NVA had moved anti-personnel mines and put them in the path, and I walked on one. But this is when they were pulling me out, taking me out of the jungle, taking me up to get treated. I didn't know whether I had lost my foot or my leg or what, but this was the day that I inadvertently tramped on them and a personnel mine.
And you wound up losing your heel, you said?
Well, lost my heel, yeah.
And this picture from this book called The Twins Platoon, and we'll show you a close-up of that as well. You were right here over on the side. That's the same day, right?
Right, same day, yeah.
So, but this was out in the field near where it happened, and then they brought you up to, where is this at?
Brought me up to Charlie Med, it was called. That was an aid station. And we were waiting on a chopper, and the reason everybody's hunkered down is because we were getting mortared. Now, when mortars are coming in, you don't know where they're coming in.
Right.
They're just coming in.
Right,
so
right.
You hunker down, what you call hunker down.
How did you ever find out that you were on these books?
Just by looking at the books. My buddy John,
The one that called you.
The one that called me. He worked at a bookstore.
Okay.
And that's how he
saw them and said, "Hey, man, you're famous."
Well, not famous, but infamous maybe.
And you had one other one here that I'm going to set these books on the side and get this book here. This is a much larger book called War Without Heroes, mostly photography, I believe, book by David Douglas Duncan. And if I haven't lost the spot here, I think I did. Oh, here we go. There was an image in here. Not only did you have your 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, the Walking Dead logo that we can show you, but tell me about this, and we'll show the people up on the screen about this image here. Tell me about what's happening in the image, where you're at.
We came in, this is my gun crew. These people here are my gun crew.
Okay.
That was my 106 recoilless rifle.
Okay.
And we were taking it off of the chopper. All right?
Okay.
And that's Corporal Paderewski and Corporal Dickey and Smith. He was a Mormon from Utah.
Okay.
Anyway, we were taking it off of the chopper.
Okay.
Now we're getting mortared at the same time.
Okay.
Mortars are coming in, exploding around. We're getting that gun off as soon as we can. Well, then they had wounded that had to go out. So I shrugged out of my gear, out of my pack, and helped load this wounded Marine.
And then he was choppered out.
He was choppered out.
How many wounded men do you think that you helped load up like that?
Oh, I don't know. Not many that day because we were jumping in holes trying to make sure we didn't get wounded.
Right.
Because, like I said, mortars are coming in. You don't know where a mortar's going to land.
Right.
And the shrapnel radius is very wide. That's why I wanted you to talk to my buddy Keith Lewis. He was a mortar man,
Okay.
and he can tell you down to the, yeah, and
And he served, you said, over in Beirut.
Beirut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could go back and talk to your 18-year-old self as you're getting ready to sign up at Paris Island, what would you say to him?
You idiot!
But I think at the same time, it sounds like you're proud
Oh, I was.
of your service.
Yeah. Nobody's any prouder. Like I said, my dad was 92,
And he was still a Marine.
He was still a Marine
And you're a Marine to this day.
to this day. And if I don't last past tomorrow, well, I'll be proud to tomorrow. You know.
Do you remember what day you were discharged?
Yes.
If I hadn't asked you, you would have remembered that I had
Yeah.
to ask.
But it was 1969.
1969.
Yeah. Or no, the beginning of 70. I'm sorry, because I was in the hospital for 9 months because I developed a clot in this leg
Okay.
and damn near killed me. And
And you were wounded 4 times. You were
Well-
wounded in the foot.
yeah, and then I got shrapnel in my leg, and then I got a bayonet in my arm.
From
Yeah.
hand-to-hand combat.
Well, it wasn't much hand to hand. The trenches, when they dig a trench, okay, they don't dig them straight. All right,
Right.
You got angles to them
Right.
like that,
Right.
so that shrapnel doesn't run down the trench line.
Right.
Anyway, we were getting overrun, or they were trying to overrun us, and I had went back to the gun pit to get machine gun ammo
Right.
for the machine gun,
Right.
and I'm carrying a can in this hand. I got one under my arm. I got my rifle in my right hand on full auto, and I got another can of gun ammo under this, and I'm running down the trench line. And here comes a NVA that had gotten in the wire, and he's coming the other way, the other direction, right?
Right.
So I look at him, he looks at me, I scream, he screams, and I come up with my rifle and just stitch him.
Right.
And he lunges with his SKS rifle, and he's got a folding bayonet, and he stabs me in the arm. Now, I don't know I'm stabbed. And you got to remember we're in the middle of a battle,
Right.
so they've got flares up, which are lighting everything up,
Right.
but it's a lot of shadow. And so I ran back to the gun pit. So that morning, after it's beginning to get morning, the machine gunner said to me, "Cooney, you're hit." And I said, "Well, I ain't hit." "Yeah, you are. Look at your hand." Well, I got blood dripping off my hand,
Oh my
dripping.
gosh.
And the way he had just nicked this artery right there, and depending on what position I had my hand in, whether I was squirting blood or I was dripping blood.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
And so, anyway, corpsman come up and stitched me up, and it was over with. In other words, I never even went to sick bay or nothing else. Corpsman, Corpsman put a couple stitches in me and good to go.
Well, it sounds like they put you through the ringer over there.
Compared to other Marines and other, I was in the hospital. When I was in the hospital over here in Bethesda, there were some cases over there that should never have came home because they weren't even walking wounded.
Talking about coming home, everyone talks about how Vietnam veterans were treated when they came home. Did you see any of that? Did you witness any of that? How were you treated?
I was just ignored.
Ignored.
Nobody, they knew better. Nobody did what was done to other veterans, and maybe because I wasn't in those circumstances. But when I come home, my kids that I went to school with would cross the street.
Really?
Because they had went to college and I went to Vietnam.
Right.
And for some reason it was my fault.
Wow. Huh. Do you think veterans are treated better today than they were
much
at
better.
that point?
Much better, yeah. Thank goodness. I'm glad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Vietnam was wrong on so many levels, and that's just one of them.
Right.
And to give you an idea, Quezon, you've heard of it, obviously. It was the lowest place around. Now, what moron puts you in the low place? You always
go for the high ground.
Go for the high ground.
Right.
Guess who had the high ground?
They did. And they were dug in.
Oh, please. We used to lay and look up at the mountainside, the mountains that were surrounding us.
Right.
You looked up and there was all these campfires. Okay? Just campfires all around. Well, every one of them campfires was somebody trying to kill us.
And you told me at one point you were somewhere where you didn't even realize there was 1,000 people there that you didn't realize were there, and they had their families there?
Contian.
Because of the tunnel system they
That's
had?
it.
Why would they have their families there?
Well, to keep them happy.
Right. Okay, so they were coming to visit. Okay.
They lived there.
And they would bring them in and out through this tunnel system, and these...
We never knew they were there.
Never
now,
knew
we
they were
looked
there.
across into no man's land. We looked across into North Vietnam every day.
Right.
And never knew, and I didn't find this out until several years later that I was home and I was watching a public broadcasting, and here was a North Vietnamese war correspondent.
Okay.
Who was telling about how he used to look across into South Vietnam.
Well, let me ask you this. After being over there, going through all you went through, and fighting for our freedoms, and even the people that wouldn't talk to you, their freedoms, and your family's freedoms, after going through all of that, what is your favorite freedom that we should preserve?
Speech?
Speech, freedom of speech?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because now I appreciate it.
Right.
Then,
right.
When they were protesting and everything,
Right.
and I went to my buddy John that I talked to, was talking to. He talked me into going to a peace march.
Oh, really? Okay.
In Washington.
Okay. Was this about 69 or 70?
Yeah, this was like 70. This would have been like 74.
Okay. So towards the end of the...
Right. Cause,
okay.
see, John had jumped the traces.
Okay.
John had smartened up after getting shot
In the
3
chest.
rounds in the chest.
Chest, right.
And
Okay.
living through it, he realized that the war protesters
Right.
weren't all that bad. Plus,
Right.
there was a lot of pretty girls, a lot of drugs.
Well, how did it make you feel going to that protest?
Well, ironically, I went in uniform.
Okay.
And according to John, he saw a Japanese documentary one time
Okay.
of the peace protests
Uh-huh.
in Washington, and there I was.
There you So you got on TV too, huh?
He recognized me because I was the only one in any kind of similarity of a uniform.
Wow. So you've been on TV, you've been in books. I think you did get a little famous or infamous there.
Infamous.
But after, again, with all your service, all that you saw, you were wounded 4 times.
I was just clumsy 4 times.
What does I wore this shirt today in recognition of Veterans Day and to honor the flag. What does the colors red, white, and blue mean to you?
No better colors.
No better colors at
No
all,
better
right?
colors. Nope. Nope. And that's why I know the difference between patriot
Right.
and insurrectionist.
Okay. All right. And let me ask you this: as someone who has been in combat and even being in service in general, they say it changes a person after they've gone through an experience like that, particularly under fire in combat. How do you think it changed you?
I don't suffer fools lightly. And I won't tolerate abuse
Right. Right.
to myself or to a dog
Right.
or a
right.
child. No, never.
It made you want to stand up for people more.
Well, I want to stand up for people that can't stand up for themselves.
Well, I think
know.
you did that. I think you did that and a whole lot more. And Mr. Cooney, I want to thank you so much for sharing your stories today and for your service to your country.
Well, I hope I haven't bored you.
No, sir. No, sir. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite.
Trust me, if your daughter wasn't here, I would entertain you better.
Entertained me better. Well, I'm glad that you're keeping it inside the rails for our cameraman, Eleanor Arrington, here with us.
When you got a beautiful cameraman like that.
Well, again, I thank you so much for your time and inviting us in your home today. That's been Daniel Cooney, a retired Marine Corporal, talking about Veterans Day and his time in Vietnam. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, make sure you hit that like button and share the video with a friend. And make sure you sign up to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Page Valley News. You can type it right in the search engine right there on YouTube. And we do want to say thank you to Eleanor Arrington for all of her work behind the camera and in the editing room this week. And as we end each and every episode, we want to remind you to go down to the Page County Animal Shelter and help one of our furry friends find a forever home. For Daniel Cooney, I'm Randy Arrington saying Happy Veterans Day, and make sure you salute a veteran not this week or today, but every day. And until next week, we hope you enjoy that Page Valley Livin'.